species, kingdoms, etc. Define the term species. A group of organisms that can reproduce. To produce fertile offspring. State 2 features of myriapods that can be used to distinguish them from other arthropods. Many body segments. Head and body segments, or many legs, many pairs of legs. Elongated bodies. Features common to all arthropods. Exoskeleton, or jointed, segmented, limbs, legs, appendages, or pairs of limbs, legs, appendages, or segmented body, or bilateral body symmetry. Features of arachnids. 4 pairs of legs, 8 legs. Fused head and thorax, cephalothorax, 2 sections or parts of the body. Pedipalps described. Scientists think that the happy face pattern on the bodies of the spiders is an adaptive feature. Explain the term adaptive feature with reference to this pattern. Inherited feature controlled by genes, alleles, DNA. Functional or feature. Increase fitness, chances of survival. Increases chance of reproducing to leave offspring. Any suitable example visible in T. grallata. E.g. camouflage, warning signal, scares predators, lure for prey, sexual attractant. State 1 feature of monocotyledons that can be used to distinguish them from dicotyledons. 1. Cotyledon, embryonic leaf, seed leaf. Oblong leaves, narrow leaves, straight leaves. Parallel veined leaves, straight veins. Named flower parts in multiples of 3. Fibrous roots, adventitious roots. Scattered vascular bundles in stem. Internal features of mammals. Double circulation. 4-chambered heart. Lungs, any named part of lungs. Diaphragm. Red blood cells without nuclei. AVP. Features used to classify animals as reptiles. Dry, scaly skin. Leathery, soft-shelled, eggs. Many traditional methods of classification used morphology. State the name of the other type of feature that can also be used in classification. Anatomy. DNA sequences, genes. Sequences of amino acids in proteins. AVP, e.g. behavior. Reproduction, hormones. Describe the roles in the menstrual cycle of the hormone estrogen. Stimulates repair, thickening, of uterus lining. Inhibits FSH secretion. Stimulates secretion of LH. The hormones in the female contraceptive pill can enter rivers. Describe the negative impacts of female contraceptive hormones entering rivers and contaminating drinking water. Named example of feminization of aquatic organisms. Reduction in fertility in humans, reduced sperm count in men. Reduction in fertility, sperm count, in fish, aquatic organisms. Reduction in population in fish, aquatic organisms. Describe the roles of FSH and LH in the menstrual cycle. FSH stimulates the development of follicles in ovary. FSH stimulates development of egg cell. FSH stimulates secretion of estrogen from ovary. FSH and LH surge stimulates ovulation of egg from ovary. LH stimulates corpus luteum. Secretion of progesterone. Decrease in LH decreases secretion of progesterone by corpus luteum. Hormones-related stuff. Human. State the function of insulin in the body. Reduces blood sugar concentration. Explain what is meant by the term hormone. Chemical substance produced by endocrine gland. Carried by the blood. Alters the activity of specific target organs, or how negative feedback controls the blood glucose concentration of a person who has not eaten for a day. Blood glucose concentration decreases, causing glucagon secretion. Glucagon, released from pancreas. Glucagon stimulates breakdown of glycogen, release of glucose into the blood. From liver, muscle. Blood glucose concentration goes back up. Explain why the glucose concentration decreases after 90 minutes. Increase in glucose concentration causes secretion of insulin. Secretion by the pancreas. Insulin causes the liver to take up glucose from the blood. Glucose is converted to glycogen. AVP, e.g. ref, to detection of increased glucose by the pancreas, activation of enzymes in the liver. Outline the treatment of type 1 diabetes. Taking of insulin. Ref, 2 injections pump. Regular monitoring of blood glucose concentration. Controlling carbohydrate intake. AVP, e.g. exercise regularly, maintain a healthy mass, idea that insulin cannot be taken orally. Describe ways in which the hormone adrenaline affects the body in preparation for action. Heart beats faster, increased pulse. Increased rate of breathing. Stimulates breakdown of glycogen in the liver. Increases blood glucose concentration. Dilate pupils. Heightened sensitivity, increased mental awareness out. Allow, sharper senses, more alert out. Hormones-related stuff. Plant. Explain how the plant hormone causes the response of phototropism. Auxin is a plant hormone. Auxin hormone produced in the tip moves diffusers, away from tip down the stem or shoot or plant. Moves to collects on, one, lower side of stem plant. Stimulates cell elongation. Stem plant, bends grows turns, upwards. Explain the advantages of this response to the survival of seedlings and mature plants. Reach light for photosynthesis. Reach air for carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Reach air for oxygen for respiration. Idea that they grow tall so that flowers are exposed for wind insect pollination. AVP's e.g. roots grow downwards towards direction of gravity. To reach water, ions or minerals. To anchor plant in the soil. Describe how reflexes in animals differ from sensitivity in plants. Reflexes respond faster, aura. Reflexes use electrical impulses, neurons, nerves, nervous system. Reflexes are shorter-lived, aura. Reflexes are not a growth response, aura. Reproduction plant. Outline how ferns produce spores. Meiosis. Reduction division, chromosome number is halved. From diploid to haploid. Producing genetically different cells. Explain the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Transfer of pollen from anthers or stamen to stigma. Self equals within same flower or flower on same plant. Cross equals between flowers on different plants of same species. Describe how the pollen that is carried by an insect to another flower results in the formation of a plant embryo. Pollen transferred to stigma. Ref to pollen tube. Pollen tube, growth germination. Pollen tube grows down style. Pollen tube enters ovule. Ovule is in the ovary carpel. Pollen, nucleus fuses with ovule, nucleus. Ref, to fertilization. To form zygote. Zygote divides by mitosis to form an embryo. AVP, e.g., fertilized ovule becomes the seed. Describe ways in which flowers and pollen grains are adapted for insect pollination. Large obvious petals, sepals. Anthers, stigmas, inside flower. Filaments are stronger, thicker or. Pollinators must touch anthers, to reach nectar or. Sticky stigma. Pollen, large. Pollen, sticky, spiky. AVP, honey guides, landing platforms mimic insects. Explain the advantages of cross-pollination. Allows variation, genetic diversity. Plant more likely to survive named environmental change. Resistance to disease. Ability to evolve. Ref, to fitness. Discuss the advantages of sexual reproduction to a wild population of flowering plants. Gives genetic variation, diversity. Refta, alleles, genes, DNA, from different plants' parents. Allows mutations to be expressed or. Allows adaptation to new conditions, changed environment or. New species can evolve. Allows natural selection to occur. Pollen exchanged between individuals, cross-pollination. Seeds are dispersed. Can colonize new areas or. Less competition with parent plant among offspring. Seeds may be dormant. Survival through harsh, adverse conditions. Explain the disadvantages of cross-pollination compared with self-pollination. Reliant on named pollinators. Reliant on environmental conditions, wind. Idea of wastage of pollen. Idea of more energy required to produce more pollen. More than one plant required. Risk of less fertilization, reproduction. Discuss the long-term effects of self-pollination on the evolution of these plant species. Limited variation. Offspring become homozygous over time. Out. Allow. Reference to inbreeding. Limited gene pool variation is due to mutation. Low chance that mutations will be expressed. Out. Offspring will be well adapted to conditions near parent. If environment does not change. Limited opportunity for evolution. If environment changes, will not be able to adapt to change in the environment. Allow. Reference to disease in context as a change. AVP, e.g. some variation due to reassortment of chromosomes and crossing over during meiosis. Reduced variation leads to intraspecific competition locally. Describe the advantages of using cuttings rather than seeds to reproduce crop plants. Ref, to asexual reproduction. Minimizes genetic variation, gives a uniform crop or. Produces plants that all have the same features or. Ensures consistency of product or. AVP, e.g. faster production from cuttings than from seeds. Explain the consequences of self-pollination for a population of plants. Idea that pollination, fertilization, always going to happen or. No agent of pollination needed. Little wastage of pollen. Reduced little variation, diversity. Increased competition between plants as have the same adaptation. Increased chance of genetic inherited disease. All plants adapted to same conditions environment. Little ability to adapt to changing conditions, little ability to evolve. An infectious disease can kill all of the population, all plants more susceptible to the same disease. Risk of extinction. Describe features that show that Johnson grass flowers are adapted for wind pollination. Stigma has feathery surface, large surface area to catch pollen. Stigma anthers hang outside the flowers. Large anthers C produce large quantities of pollen. Idea that anthers C easily release pollen. Bracts A are small, inconspicuous. Reproduction human. Describe what happens between ovulation and the formation of a fetus. Sperm male gametes are deposited in vagina or travel through cervix. Egg sperm gametes travel to oviduct. Enzymes from acrosome sperm digest jelly coat around egg. Fertilization or fusion of nuclei of sperm male gamete and of female gamete egg cell. Formation of diploid zygote. Zygote embryo travels down oviduct or zygote embryo travels to uterus. Mitosis cell division growth developed zygote embryo fetus. Ball of cells embryo implants in uterus. Placenta umbilical cord between mother and fetus. Delivery diffusion of named resource excretion at named waste via placenta umbilical cord. AVP, e.g. named sperm adaptation for swimming, e.g. mitochondria. Q ovary U placenta releases progesterone to maintain lining. Reft cell specialization complexity of fetus named organs in fetus. Describe what happens from the event sperm entering an egg until an embryo is formed. Ref. Two acrosome digestive enzymes are released from sperm. Jelly coat is digested by enzymes.
Fusion of nuclei of gametes fertilization. To form a diploid zygote. Jelly coat hardens after fertilization. Zygote moves along oviduct towards uterus. Cell division mitosis after formation of zygote. AVP, e.g. use of energy stores from egg cell for mitosis. Describe how an embryo is formed from a zygote. Chromosomes DNA, duplicates replicates. Chromosomes separate. Mitosis nuclear division. Zygote fertilized egg divides splits into two. Nuclear cell division mitosis, repeated AW. Forming a ball cluster of cells. Cells are genetically identical. AVP, e.g. cell, specialization differentiation ref, to stem cells. Describe the functions of amniotic fluid and the amniotic sac. Maintains temperature. Mechanical protection. Provides support of the fetus. Provides a sterile environment, prevents infections. Allows movement of the fetus. Movement allows for development of bones and muscles. Ref. To swallowing of fluid. Lubrication AW. Compare the development of a fetus in the early stages of pregnancy to its development in the late stages of pregnancy. Growth in all stages. Development during all stages. More increase in complexity in early stages. More increased in size in later stages. Describe the changes that occur in the lining of the uterus during one menstrual cycle. Loss of lining of uterus at the beginning of the cycle during first week between day 1 to 7. Thickening of lining of uterus during second week before ovulation. Thickness of lining remains constant in the last 2 weeks after ovulation if no fertilization. Ref. 2. Blood vessels glands. Describe and explain the adaptations of the sperm and egg that enable fertilization and early development of the embryo to occur. Sperm max. 4 from. Presence of acrosome containing enzymes. Idea of enzymes, digest breakdown, egg membrane jelly coat. Many mitochondria. For respiration to release energy for swimming. Flagellum streamlined shape. 4. Swimming movement locomotion. Egg energy named nutrient stores. For development of embryo mitosis cell division. Jelly coat hardens to prevent other sperm from entering after fertilization. Explain why the egg cell contains stores of protein and fat. Ref. To making new cells after fertilization. Making membranes. Protein for making enzymes. Making new, named cell structures cytoplasm. Fat protein provide source of energy. Energy for cell division mitosis growth of cell metabolism AW. Describe the function of the jelly coat. Hardens changes, after fertilization entry of sperm. Prevents more sperm entering. Both haploid nuclei OR23 chromosomes in sperm, egg. Gametes are haploid, so correct number of chromosomes in 46 chromosomes in zygote. Outline the processes of labor and birth. Breaking of the amniotic sac. Amniotic fluid is released. Contraction of the muscles in the uterus wall. Dilation of the cervix. Passage through the vagina. Tying and cutting the umbilical cord. Delivery of the afterbirth placenta. Stem cells. Describe the role of stem cells in the growth of an embryo. Ref. To unspecialized cells that can become specialized. Ref. To expression of genes in specialized cells. AVP, e.g. continually divide. Explain why these stem cells are necessary in the lining of the stomach. Stem cells divide by mitosis. Form named specialized cells in stomach. To replace cells in the lining of stomach. Idea that cells are worn away from the surface of the stomach. For repair of any damage to tissues.